What's up, New York Mets Nation? Welcome to the Bat Cave. I'm your host, the Bat Fry, Kenny Fry. On this episode, what are we going to talk about? I don't know. We'll talk about something, I guess. The Mets, right? We will be talking Mets Brewers series and just all the excitement. Just the excitement, and we'll go from there. We'll go from there. I don't even know what to say right now. So we'll get her rolling here. I'll be back in 50 seconds. Good morning, New York Mets Nation, and welcome to the Bat Cave. I'm your host, the Bat Fry, Kenny Fry, and woo, man, what a freaking night. The range of emotions being felt by Mets Nation last night. I'd say it's hard to explain. It's unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. For it to come down to that, you knew it was going to come down to that. You had to know just all the doubt surrounding this team from the outside. For the most part, I think most Mets fans, a large portion of Mets fans, believe in this team. They know how exciting this team can be, and I've talked about it on here before about how exciting this team is and how excited I am for this team. I've mentioned it a couple episodes ago, how I'm more excited for this team this year than the 100-plus win team from 2022. And now, for obvious reasons, where the 2022 team going into the playoffs were very flat. We're playing very, very flat at that time. They were out of gas. And this year's team is just, since the end of May, have the best record in baseball. And they've just been on a tear. They've been on a tear since the meeting, and Lopez glove throwing thing. The whole DFA thing that happened with him. Then we've been on fire, absolute fire, and been for the most part fairly consistent. Now every team, even teams with the best records, they go through lulls. But the Mets, like I said, the best record since the end of May. They've hit some valleys there, but they had a lot more peaks and valleys leading into the playoffs. So you felt some confidence. Even they took 3 or 4 from the Phils. They go into Atlanta. They lose that first game in Atlanta. Then the next 2 get rained out, and you're hearing about the doubleheader on Monday. There's no time between the doubleheader and the wild card round. What are we supposed to do? That's not right. That's not fair. Well, let's go to Arizona. Let's go to Milwaukee, win the games there, and clinch the wild card berth early, and then the Monday won't matter. But that doesn't happen. We go to Milwaukee, lay a couple of eggs, but we do take one from the Brewers. There at the end, Milwaukee has been an absolute house of horrors for the Mets. Dating back to last season, I think even 2022, if I remember correctly. But it's just been awful. The Mets have played awful against the Brewers. They played even worse in Milwaukee, and getting that win, I think, before going to Atlanta, leaving Milwaukee, getting that last win of the series, I think was absolutely huge for this team's confidence, and it showed in that first game of the doubleheader against the Braves, where we just continuously battled back. We would get the early lead, we think we're in the driver's seat, and then we give it up, right away. And then Lindor comes up and he hits the 2-run bomb to put the Mets ahead. At that moment, the biggest home run, in recent Mets history that you can think of off the top of your head. I'm recent, the last few years. I mean, I'm not going to go back into the annals of Mets histories and compare home run to home run and situations and stuff like that. There's definitely one of the biggest regular season home runs in Mets history, and the Mets end up winning that game 8-7. Like I said, hit some struggles. The Braves were able to retake the lead in that game. Edwin Diaz goes out in the 8th inning, gets knocked around, gets blown up. The Mets retake that lead off the Lindor home run, and Diaz says to the pitching coach, "Am I going back out there?" Where the pitching coach says, "No, you're not going back out there." And then Diaz, finds Carlos Mendoza and says, "You have to let me go back out there. I can do that." And every Met fan that's been alive, since the last time they were at a World Series, which was that 2015, 2016. I'm not good with years, against the Kansas City Royals. We all remember the Matt Harvey deal, right? And I remember watching this game, and I remember rooting for Matt Harvey, and I was so pumped that they let Matt Harvey go back out. I think it was the 8th or 9th inning, whatever it was. I think it was the 9th inning, to try to finish that game off because he pitched so brilliantly and he had such a struggle that season. And it was a great season for the Mets. The first half, not so much. The second half, the Mets went on a tear, and we had Daniel Murphy, just absolutely crushing the ball. He was like carrying the team on his back. The place, Citi Field, was electric. It was absolutely electric. DeGrom and Syndergaard. Like I said, Steven Matz even. But you didn't have Matt Harvey. Just wasn't up to snuff. He had some decent games, but for the most part, he was not who he was previous seasons. He was not our Dark Knight. And for him to go into the World Series, the Mets are down in the series. What was it? I think 3-1. And I believe that was the series clincher for the Royals. For him to pitch so well in that game, to get to go back out, to talk the coach into letting him go back out there, and then he unfortunately laid the egg. And, that's kind of what he was remembered for then, the Matt Harvey game, they kind of call it. And I choose to remember that game as him pitching fantastically. And it was just one of those times where a coach has to use his better judgment and has to know when his starter is done. And so it kind of felt like that when Edwin Diaz told Carlos Mendoza, we're hearing this after the fact. You could see it with Matt Harvey during the World Series, where he went up to who was it? Was it the coach then? It wasn't Mickey Callaway. It was I can't think of his name right now. But anyway, he goes up to the coach and he says, you can just see it on his face, and you can kind of read his lips. He's, "I'm going back out there. You're not taking me out of this game. I'm going back out there." And they're kind of going back and forth, and he let him go back out there. And unfortunately, it went to shit. Well, Edwin Diaz, I didn't see any video of him telling Carlos Mendoza that he's going back out there, that he wants to be left in, that he can do it. I didn't see any video of that, but that's the reports that I heard after the game, and into the next day, after the doubleheader was over, and Carlos Mendoza let him go out there, and Edwin Diaz got it done in the 9th inning against the Braves. He did give up I think it was a walk, and I don't know if he just pitches better with runners on sometimes. I don't know what it is, but it always seems like there's somebody on base when the man is pitching, and they're always stealing bases on the poor guy. But he got it done, and the Mets clinched in that first game of the doubleheader, so they didn't have to worry about the second game. Kind of rest some guys, rest the bullpen a little bit, and so they go into game 1 there against the Brewers, and they even though they lost the second game of the doubleheader to the Braves, it still felt like the Mets had momentum going into that game, and they did. It really felt like they did. It felt like they couldn't lose that game. Game 1 against the Brewers, they fell behind early. Severino had a little bit early game struggles there. Mets went down 2-0 after 1, but Jesse Winker comes up and hits a 2-run triple, and it really gets everybody going. I think that's in the second inning, and jawing with Brewers players, the pitcher, jawing with Willie Adames, who was offering to take Winker out to the parking lot after the game and stuff like that. To meet him out in the parking lot. And I don't know, Jesse Winker, the flowing hair and stuff like that. It doesn't seem like he might be a fighter. But then again, after what I've seen in this series, games 1 and 3, he seems like he might be a scrappy fella. So I wouldn't, he seems a little bit nuts. So I wouldn't put anything past Jesse Winker. He looks like he could be a biter, or somebody that would punch you in the groin just to get the win. And I like those kinds of guys. It's all about winning. I'm a Raiders fan. Just win, baby. That's all it's about. It doesn't matter how you get there. It's about getting a dub. So he hits that 2-run triple. Jong with Adames. Marte hit a sac fly. The Mets go up 3-2 in that game. 4th inning, Brewers retake the lead with 2 runs. Mets bounce back again in the 5th with 5 runs in the 5th. And Iglesias, really kicked that off. I can't remember who was on. I think somebody, Tyrone Taylor was on. I think he was on. He might have been on second when Iglesias hit the slow roller towards first base. At the first baseman, I think it was Rhys Hoskins, tosses it to the pitcher. I think it was Payamps, and Iglesias is busting ass down the line and dives head first to beat Payamps to that bag. And if he doesn't, well, actually, Payamps actually missed the bag, if I remember correctly. He might have scraped it with his foot coming back up over top of it, but his original plant, he missed that base by probably about a half an inch to an inch. And just that hustle, Iglesias busting ass down the line. That's what that man has meant to this team. Also, since they got him, since they brought him up from AAA, inserted him into the lineup, as a kind of like a fill-in player. Every time you get in there, you always felt the electricity. You'd always come up kind of big. Then the Mets started moving Jeff McNeil around a little bit more, and just to get Iglesias in the lineup more. They started using him at third base, for defensive purposes. Iglesias has been an absolute lightning rod, and him diving into first, beating that out. Taylor scoring. I think it was from second base. Just electrified the Mets. Through the rest of that game, I felt like that was the turning point. And then Vientos had a huge single as well, scoring Lindor and Iglesias. And then JD Martinez got into it a little bit. He got himself a hit. Fantastic job. He got a couple RBIs, singling in Nimmo and Vientos, and that put the Mets up for the rest of the game. That was it. 8-4 win for the Mets. Luis Severino, 6 innings pitched, 8 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. He wasn't bad. He wasn't bad. He wasn't great. We've seen Sevy look better, but he got through it. He got through some early struggles. He found a little bit of a groove. Then hit a little bit of more struggles again, and they took him out. And the bullpen was awesome. Jose Butto, 2 innings pitched, 3 strikeouts. Ryan Stanek, an inning pitched, 1 strikeout. Awesome. Bing bang boom, gone. Frankie Peralta. For the Brewers, he went 4 innings. This I don't understand this. He went 4 innings pitched, 2 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, and they pulled him. It looked like he settled down pretty well after the second inning, I think it was. After the second inning, he settled down pretty well, and he only had 68 pitches. They pulled him after 4 innings. And my first thought was they pulled him, to kind of use them later on in the series. But I mean, why would you do that? It's a short series. Maybe try to save your bullpen a little bit, because it is a fantastic bullpen, one of the better bullpens in Major League Baseball. But they decide to pull Peralta so he doesn't have to go through the lineup for a third time in that game. And it's one of those things I talked about last night at work. It doesn't make sense to me. These are starting pitchers. That's what they do. They go through the third, sometimes the fourth time through a lineup before they're being pulled out of games. And it doesn't. Coaches are over analyzing or over analyticalizing. I don't know if that's a freaking word or not, but I made it a word. So how about that? They're using analytics, I don't want to say way too much. They're using analytics despite probably better judgment. I think the coach, Pat Murphy, I think it is. He probably, if he had to do this 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, he probably leaves Peralta in. But because the day and age we're in, where analytics is so huge in the game of baseball and it's utilized by so many teams in so many different ways, this is what the book says. So this is what we got to do. I just don't like that. I like the gut feeling part of it. I like, well, he's our starting pitcher. This is what he's done all freaking season is, go through the third time to the lineup, the fourth time if you have to, go 5, 6, 7, today's pitchers don't go very far into games, but fifth, sixth inning, and then go to your bullpen. But pulled him out early, only after 68 pitches, and it really shocked the hell out of me, but whatever, we'll take it. The Mets feasted on Brewers bullpen. I just want to say Trevor McGill is filthy. We got the wrong McGill on the team. No, I shouldn't say. I like Tyler McGill. I'm always have been a Tyler McGill fan. But definitely Trevor is the better of the two right now. Anyway, I got a couple comments before I hit game 2 here. Hey, there he is, Yuki Matsui. What's going on? He says, "Let's go." There we go. I like that. New York Mets don't deserve the polar bear. I'm guilty for talking crap about Alonso. I'm sorry, feeling gratitude for Pete. And that's something I wanted to talk to. I wanted to talk about, I should say. What was the amount of shit that Pete Alonso has taken this year? And you know what? I'm a huge Pete Alonso fan, backer, and I've supported him the whole season. If you can go back to all my shows, if you want, you're not going to find anywhere where I say the dude's a bum, he stinks, they need to get him out. I have said he needs to pick it up. He can carry this team. He needs to figure this out. He needs to figure it out. So it's stuff like that. But I've never once, called the man a bum, because I know what he's capable of. Every Met fan knows what this man is capable of, and it's been a struggle for him this year. And a struggle for Pete Alonso is hitting 240, was it 34 home runs, something like that, 30, 34, 35, 36 home runs, whatever it was, 80 plus RBI, almost 90 RBI. That's a struggle for him. I mean, for I'd say 90% of major leaguers, that's a career year. And I think what really got me listening to a podcast and listening to the one host who's a dual host. I'm not going to mention the podcast because I do enjoy that podcast. And I like both guys. The way they present everything and the way they talk about the Mets and their knowledge is just fantastic. I really enjoy watching them. But just the amount of hate and vitriol, or I shouldn't say hate, disdain and vitriol for Pete Alonso being spewed, it really pissed me off. It's like I had several things typed out for him, like I'm just gonna let it go because I'm just a ham and egger. You know what I mean? I'm a ham and egger in this whole podcasting game. I'm just a guy just trying to get by and whatever. I mean, I've been struggling getting on here. I don't know if you guys have noticed. I've been having a hard time getting on regularly because I've been going through some things with confidence with doing the podcasting. It's not easy sometimes, and I feel like that sometimes I don't present a very good product, and I don't like doing that. I want to put something out that people are going to enjoy. And I don't have to be the most knowledgeable, but I want to put out something entertaining. And I feel like I haven't done that in a while. And that's so I've been struggling putting anything out there. I really have, because every time I'd create a stream, I just wouldn't go on because either I'd probably fall asleep. That's most of the issue. But I would end up falling asleep before it was time, and I wouldn't wake up until like noon or 1. But I could easily have gone on then. But I've been struggling with some confidence with this, and so. But anyway, here I am. I'm not going to get into me too much. But you kind of understand, it's compare that to Pete Alonso, where the whole season, even though the numbers weren't terrible. If you just cover up the name and show those numbers, like anybody on any team will take those numbers. But it's Pete Alonso, and the dude has struggled all season to find it. And I'm not saying he even found it. This is one at bat. But just to feel the pressure that he's had on him the whole season with the whole contract talk and the struggles, and he's not clutch, and just this sometimes awful play at first base. And I've said it many times, and I stand behind it, that I still think he's a very good first baseman. He's not a Gold Glove first baseman by any stretch of the imagination. He'll never win a Gold Glove, and that's fine. I don't need him to win a Gold Glove. I need him to be good at first base. And for the most part, he is very good at first base. And we've seen him make time and time, make play after play, diving. And I mean, how many balls does the man dig out? That sounds weird. How many balls does the man dig out of the dirt in a game? I mean, it's unbelievable. And some of the picks that he has are just really mind-boggling. And then you see, like last night, the pop up and foul ground, and he dropped it, he missed it. It's like, it's like, so you take the good with the bad with fielding wise, and but it's a confidence thing the whole time for him. Making adjustments. It doesn't seem like he's making the adjustments, and just all season, I've been rooting so hard for this guy just to have a big moment. And it didn't seem like it was going to come. It didn't seem like it was going to come. But then last night, and this is one of the things that really bums me out about working night shift is I missed it. Watching it on TV anyway, I missed it. But before I left the house for work, I got changed and I still had the TV on, and the Brewers are up 2-0. They just went out bottom of the eighth, so it's going to the top of the ninth inning, and the Mets top of the order was coming up. And my first thought was, if we can get one guy on for Alonso, this will be his chance to at least have that big moment, and to kind of quell or kind of turn, not quell, kind of turn some people's opinion about him from this season. It's kind of just like one swing will scratch all that away. And for now, I mean, he comes into this Philly series, he struggles. We're going to hear it again. But for now, it would just, it would get rid of all of it. It's I just hoping so much for that man just to get up and just to smash it, and just to feel that release, just get rid of all that that pressure and that hate and that just the pressure. It's if it makes any sense. And so he, of course, I'm just going to skip game 2. I'm going to get right to this anyway. The Mets lost game 2. We all know that. I was going to go through that whole. Now I'll talk about game 2. Then I'm going to bounce back and forth. I got CP or not CP. Yuki is really throwing some comments out there, so I'm going to get to them real quick before I get where I'm at, because I'm losing places. I'm starting to ramble. He says, I'm coming to Citizens Bank Ballpark looking for trouble. Can I call you to bail me out? Yes, you can call me Yuki Matsui, and I will bail you out. But if you call me under a different name, I'm not going to know who it is, so it has to be under Yuki Matsui. I don't know. That's how I know you. So yeah, but you know what? I was looking at it because I'm 2 hours away from Philly, 2.5 hours away from New York City. So I was looking, like, well, Philly. I've been to Citizens Bank Ballpark. I've been to the Link there in Philly a couple times. It's not hard to get to, so I'm like, maybe I can look to get tickets for Saturday or Sunday, and show up there with my Mets gear on and get hollered at and called names or whatever. Which fine. That's not a big deal. I don't feed into it. I don't care about it. And then I looked on last night. I looked on Ticketmaster for tickets, and the cheapest ticket was over $300. Like, that ain't gonna happen. I'm not gonna spend that kind of money, to sit in the nosebleeds and and watch the game. I mean, championship series or World Series, yeah, I think I would, but the NLDS, I just have a hard time doing it. Especially I have stuff going on this weekend that I don't want to miss with my kids. But then I'm looking at Tuesday up at Citi Field. I'm like, man, I've never driven to New York City. I'm always nervous that if and when I do, because I'd love to do it, that I'm going to get lost, and then I'm going to become somebody's back alley bride or something like that. And I don't want to be a back alley bride. I don't know about anybody else that's listening or watching right now. Right now we're at 21 live viewers, but I don't want to be a back alley bride. It's not something I'm really cut out for. I don't think so. Anyway, I've never done it. Maybe I am cut out for. I don't know. I don't want to find out. I really don't. So that makes me nervous. So I always, think maybe a bus trip up, because there's a local company that runs bus trips up to the Citi Field once a season for the Phillies fans, and so I always thought about doing that. But anyway, I'm kind of rambling on again. Yuki says 5 reasons Philly will lose. 1, Christopher Sanchez just got a newborn. He might be exhausted and unfocused. Yeah, absolutely. I have 3 kids, so I know all about that. The smell of baby vomit, curdled milk and stuff like that, it sticks in your nose, and that's gonna stick with him for a while. So yeah, so that's absolutely 1. 2, Mets fans will take over Citizens Bank Ballpark and Phils lose home field advantage. And that's an interesting point. Something I was going to bring up, Yuki. I did see one of the iconic Phillies super fans. Uh, there's somebody that was on the Out of the Box Sports Network for a show at one time as a guest to a host, and I'm not going to say his name, but anyway, he was already complaining online that the Phillies fans need to buy these tickets because Mets fans are out here buying them all up and driving the price up and stuff like that. They're going to try to take over, Citizens Bank and whatever. I'll tell you, it's going to be. I think it's going to be split. They're getting ready for a Red October, which if you've seen the playoffs the last couple seasons at Citizens Bank Ballpark, and I love baseball and I enjoy watching those games because that place is insane. It's packed to the gills, and the crowd is rabid, and it's the teams that the Phillies have played in the playoffs the last few seasons, it's been almost like 99% Phillies fans in those stands, but it ain't going to be this time. It will not be this time. I'm not going to say it's a 50-50 split, but it's going to be a lot closer than what it's been in the last few seasons for the Phillies, where the fan base is going to be not uncomfortable, but they're not going to be as loud. There's going to be back and forth as long as the Mets can stay in these games, and just like they did this last 4-game series against the Phillies, that was up in Citi Field. They played extremely well there, and we're going to see I think we're going to see what this Philly fan base is made of. This rabid fan base you hear in Red October and ringing bells and whatnot, and bedlam at the bank, from a couple seasons ago, and I came on here last year after they were eliminated. It's bedtime at the bank, and it was what it was. I thought it was kind of funny then. I think it's funny now as well. Number 3 reason the Phillies will lose: the Phillies are soft and can't punch back. The one thing I'll say about that is they do have the players to punch back, and that's the one thing that has me nervous. Is that guys like Bohm, Castellanos, Schwarber, of course Harper, JT. They've been almost dormant the whole season. Like you haven't, early on when they got out to that huge lead, they had a huge first couple of months, fantastic, best team in baseball. Those guys were outstanding, absolutely outstanding. And since they had that such a big lead in the East, you haven't heard a whole lot of consistency out of them. They're kind of dormant, but still just getting the job done. And it makes me nervous that they wake up for this stuff. That's why I was kind of glad they had the bye. Kind of they don't have that I don't want to say it, the word I'm looking for is escaping me. I don't know. Words are always escaping me. They don't have the advantage. There we go. Advantage of being able to continue to play to stay hot. They have that. Basically what's like a week off almost before they have to play again. And so you'll hope that some of those guys get even more cold. So we'll see what happens. But they do have the guys on that team to battle back. They just haven't shown it much this year because they haven't had to. Guys like Castellanos and Bohm, they make me nervous. Trey Turner, as well. Guys like that. They can turn it on. It seems like Castellanos, for some reason, he comes up big in games when the bigger bats are not. Alec Bohm, he's had at least for the most part, from what I don't watch him every day, but for the most part this season he had a pretty good season. I don't for some reason I feel like he's hurt, but I don't know if he still is or isn't. It seems like a bunch of those guys have spent some sort of time on the injured list. But they have the guys to punch back. They just haven't done it. They haven't had to do it either, though. 4 of the Phillies wrapped up the season since May. There we go. So that's what I was just talking about. The playoff format favors wild card teams staying hot, being able to continue to play through and keep that momentum. And it's stuff like that. It's stuff that gives me hope for the Mets, versus the Phillies, and just also the core group of this team, the guys that people counted out, the moves that were made in the offseason by Daniel Stearns. I lost my train of thought there for a second. I keep getting Daniel Stearns and David Stearns mixed up, so I don't know what the hell I'm Stearns. I'm just gonna call him Stearns. I always get them mixed up. But anyway, the moves they made in the offseason, were heavily criticized. Who are the Mets? The Mets only have $11 million to spend. People are hearing, $11 million to spend in the offseason. That's why they're not, getting this guy, or this guy. That's why they're not trying to get this. And, big time pitchers. That's why they're, getting these guys that have been bums for the last couple of years. And all these relievers, 10,000 relievers being signed. And then, JD Martinez, wants more money. And, finally JD comes, for was it 12 million or whatever. And just a lot of criticism. And I'm as guilty as charged, with that to a point. I didn't criticize so much the moves, like Severino or Manaea. The moves that I believe I said weren't terrible moves because they've had in their recent history really, really good seasons. And it's just the past season or two where they haven't looked good. And that's where I thought those were good moves. Now all the bullpen stuff, I just didn't understand all of it, because you're looking at a lot of those bullpen guys, and their recent past wasn't good, and the season previous to the Mets joining the Mets wasn't good either. And so I didn't understand it. But also, I've said on here a bunch of times that bullpens are so hard to pick. You might have, there are elite bullpen guys where every season they're good. They're good at their job. But for the most part, I think for the most part, 75% of bullpen guys have a ton of up and down seasons where they'll be up one season, have a terrific season, sub 3 ERA and striking people out and coming up in big situations and making the big pitch. And then the next season, their ERA is 6 or 7, and they're playing in the Mexico League the next year, and they come back up and they're pitching to a 2 ERA, they're in an all-star game, and it happens all the time. So, and I've looking back on it now, that explains why he signed so many different relievers throughout, the off season and into the season and throughout the season, and having club options and stuff like that, and whatever, so you can move it up and down from AAA and move them around and whatnot, and DFA, all that good stuff. It makes sense after you look at it. It made a ton of sense. And then, it came to the All-Star, or not the All-Star, but it came to the trade deadline. And, the Mets didn't make any big moves. We need a top-of-the-line starter, and, we need another bat. And, the biggest moves, we made were Maton and Stanek and Paul Blackburn and Jesse Winker. Those were our big acquisitions, and, a lot of crinkled up noses at that, and like what the hell are the Mets doing? They could have went out and got this guy, but not wanting to give up the farm for it. The Mets didn't. They went and got some guys they thought that could make this team stronger, and for the most part they have. I thought Stanek hasn't pitched great down the stretch for the Mets, but he hasn't been terrible. I don't think he has been okay. Maton, he for the most part he was good down the stretch, and there was a couple games where he wasn't so good, but for the most part, I'd say he was good. Blackburn, you didn't get to see a whole lot of him, a couple games, and that was it before he got hurt. And then Jesse Winker, not great, but he had a couple big at bats, made some couple a couple big hits down the stretch, and and that was that. So nothing flashy, but then you fast forward to to crunch time here, playoffs, and we see Ryan Stanek, great job in game 1, 1 inning pitch, nothing. Game 2, 1 inning pitch, and he got out of the inning in just 11 pitches, and this is where the criticism kind of bubbled up. I don't even know if that's the right word or not. I want to use, but that's what I'm going to use because I already said it. Was pulling Stanek out and putting Maton in. After Stanek just threw 11 pitches and just went right through the Brewers, and they bring Maton in and he gets shelled, he gets rocked. And so what are you going to do? Edwin Diaz was not available. I don't care what Dave Yarnell says. If Dave is watching, it's an argument I had with Dave last night when I was all pissed off, and he's ripping my ass about Edwin Diaz not playing in game 2 when the Mets were ahead. like I said today, he threw 50 pitches in game 1 against the Braves in the doubleheader. He was not available 2 days later. Throwing 50 pitches for a reliever, for a closer especially, is like throwing 110 pitches for a starter. He's not going to be available 2 days later. And Carlos Mendoza did say that Edwin Diaz, if he was going to be in, was only going to be able to go a couple batters. So that does not mean a couple innings. So if you're going to use Edwin Diaz for a couple batters, you're going to use him in the 9th inning with a lead. That didn't happen game 2 because Baton came in and he got shelled, and that was that. So fast forward to last night. Edwin Diaz, a couple days rest now available for multiple innings of work, and after Jose Quintana is pulled out of the game, they go to Jose Butto. And I'll tell you what, Quintana, I mean, just fantastic. I mean, what a turbulent season for that guy as well. I DFA'd him a couple times, halfway through the season. I think a lot of the Mets fans did as well. He was struggling, and he was not getting anybody out midway through that season. Where the rest of the Mets pitching staff was coming around and starting to pitch really good ball, he seemed to be pitching worse and worse and worse, like through June and early July. But then as the summer started heating up even more, it seemed like he kind of found himself. He kind of found, okay, this isn't working, so I got to start doing this. And all of a sudden, he started becoming that reliable pitcher again. And down the stretch, he was awesome down the stretch. Throughout August and September, he pitched awesome. And then last night's game, you couldn't ask any more from him. 6 innings pitched, I believe it was. I have it written down. Yeah, Jose Quintana, 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, 94 pitches. Awesome, absolutely awesome. So they go to the bullpen. They bring in Jose Butto, and I was fine with the Jose Butto call by Carlos Mendoza. I didn't think it was a terrible call. Jose Butto, for the most part this season, as a reliever, has been very, very good. I think down the stretch he struggled a little bit, but for the most part this season, when he became the reliever, he was very good, very good. Probably our most consistent reliever. And he goes out there and unfortunately it just doesn't go his way. He gets rocked, gives up back-to-back home runs to start. I think it was to start the inning. I don't know if he recorded an out first or not. I don't remember. But he gives up a pinch hit home run to the guy from that old TV show, 24. Remember that old TV show back in the early 2000s or whatever it was, 24, with Jack Bauer. This was it Jake Bowers? I think it was. I think I have it written down here. Trevor Bowers. Trevor Bowers. I think that's his name. He leads it off or whatever. I don't know if he let it off or not, but with a pinch hit home run, crushed it. He absolutely crushed it. I think that was I don't know if that was on a full count or not, but he did foul a couple pitches off, and he crushed it. Then the very next pitch, Sal Frelick gets up and he hits it even further. At least that's how it looked anyway. But he crushed it as well. Mets down 2-0. That place is going absolutely bonkers. Then Pete Alonso drops that pop up. I think that was all the same inning. And you see the fans there at the net laughing at Pete, mocking Pete, laughing at the polar bear, making a joke out of the man. And nobody felt worse than he did. Absolutely, nobody felt worse than he did. And I can guarantee you the whole Mets fan base that has been all over Pete's ass this season, calling him a bum, and they need to get rid of him. All this to trade him at the trade deadline stuff. Pete's not welcome back. Find somebody else. All that good stuff. Mark Vientos is going to take over for Pete Alonso. I heard that one 1,000 times. Mark Vientos could play first base. Don't re-sign Pete. So I can imagine that part of the fan base was like, oh, this idiot again is going to kill us. This idiot, here he is. He can't hit now. He can't catch the damn ball. They were probably just spewing the polar bear hate everywhere. And I'm not going to lie, when he dropped it, I'm like, dude, you got to be fucking kidding me. You got to be shitting me, Pete. Really? But, I mean, if you go back and you watch that play, it's not an easy play. It really isn't. He's trying to settle under it. Well, now he's starting to backpedal a little bit, settle under it. It's close to the net. It's not an easy play. It really isn't an easy play. It's not just a normal run of the mill pop up, there was a couple things that came into play there, and that led to him dropping it, and led to him losing his place. And again, I'm not a Major League Baseball player, nor have I ever been a Major League Baseball player, but I did play a little bit of baseball, and I was a catcher. And the thing that I struggled with the most, I thought I was a pretty good catcher. Nothing got by me. I dug the balls out of the dirt really well. I was a hell of a blocker, great arm, very accurate down to second and third base. Had a hard time throwing back to the pitcher for some reason. People didn't steal on me. I was good at that, but pop-ups. I had a hard time with pop-ups. You get up there, you get underneath the ball, and you lose yourself. You lose yourself, your surroundings and stuff like that. I always struggled with it. No matter how much I practiced it, I just could not get that part of it down. Now, when I was out in the field, when I play a little bit of third base, if I got a pop up there, no problem. But just that the straight up pop up, at behind home plate, I just struggle with. And so that's something that reminded me when I watched Pete trying to get under that ball. It kind of brought me back to that. It was almost kind of like a straight pop up. I'm sure it was super high. And he's trying to settle himself under it. Well, he's not settled. He kind of starts backpedaling, moving over, getting close to that net. He kind of loses himself, and that's it. That's ball hits off the glove, and it's a drop. So it is what it is. It didn't come back to hurt us, So that's good right there. But they end up bringing Edwin Diaz. Actually, Edwin Diaz was in already when that happened. You can kind of see the disgust on his face. I think that would have been a third out of the inning. But anyway, they bring Edwin Diaz to get the final 2 outs of that inning. That was the 7th inning, and he shut down the Brewers for that inning. And then he comes back out in the 8th inning. After the Mets, I think the Mets went down in order. I could be wrong. They're in the 8th inning, and they go down. The Brewer, Edwin Diaz goes out there, and I think he walked the guy. Either walked or gave up a single. I'm not 100% sure what it was. Yeah, I think he walked the guy. And but he goes out there and he gets the job done. He gets that inning pitched, threw 39 pitches. And speaking of the devil, I was just talking about him before. I don't know if he was watching it or not. Cowboy Dave. Dave, I was talking about how we had to argue last night, how you caught me at one of those times where I'm the Mets just gave up 2 runs. Now I'm all pissed off. I'm bummed out, and you're riding my ass about Edwin Diaz not going in game 2. And again, I'm not going to get into it now, Dave, because I feel like I've said my piece. You said your piece. We can disagree. We can agree to disagree on it. And my point was that the relief pitcher that threw 50 pitches, that's a closer, not like a long relief guy, on a Monday cannot come back in on a Tuesday or a Wednesday to be at his best and ultra effective. And like Carlos Mendoza said, that Edwin Diaz, if available on Wednesday, would have only been available for a couple of batters. Then he comes in last night. He gets the job done, going to inning and 2/3, 39 pitches. And, if he goes in on Wednesday, he's not available today. So last night, meaning Thursday. So who knows what happens then? So, I mean, like the universe, it all kind of lined up and, took care of itself there. But Dave says, Panda going yard and a double play to end it, big man. You were going nuts. You know it. And so I'm getting to that part of the story here, Dave, and it's not Panda. It's Polar Bear. Even though I'll tell you what, to get off subject here of baseball, my TikTok feed is just absolutely filled up with Panda videos. I can't get enough of watching those critters do whatever the hell it is that they do. It's unbelievable that those animals are in existence. Panda bears. I mean, I just watching them. Again, they're in zoos. This isn't the wild or whatever, but they're rolling around. Just playing and climbing trees and falling out of the damn tree, getting their heads caught and stuff. What kind of goofy ass critter is this thing? It's just it's like nature's clown or something. I don't know, but I love it. I can't get enough of it. But anyway, back to the game. So the Mets, Edwin Diaz gets through the 8th inning there. The Mets go to the top of the 9th against one of the best closers in the league. And we seen him the day before. It's no big deal, Dave. I know you knew who Pete Alonso was. I was just kind of busting your ass with the Panda thing. But I'm glad you brought Panda up because I wanted to bring up the Panda story. Anyway, so that takes us to the top of the 9th against what's his name, Devin Williams. one of the best closers in the league. We saw him on Wednesday, and he was filthy, absolutely filthy. Looked unhittable, and so he come out to this, and top of the order, and I can't watch it. I have to go to work, so I hurry up down the steps. I get in my truck. I start the truck up. I have to wait a few, like 30 seconds or whatever for everything to come on, and then for my phone to sync with the truck so I can put on the game on the MLB network. And then I hear the sweet velvet tones of Howie Rose come through my ear, through my speakers. It's like, all right, we're going. We're golden here. Let's go. And so by the time I get in my truck and get the game on, Lindor's on and Vientos is out. So I didn't see those at bats. I had to go back and rewatch it. Lindor ends up walking, battling through a really tough at bat, full count, and he has a check swing where he did not go. You go back and watch the replay, he did not go. So any Brewer fan or baseball fan says Lindor went, you're talking out of your asshole on that one. He's nowhere near going on that check swing. But anyway, so he gets the free pass to first base. Then you have Mark Vientos, who also had a very good at bat, but he ends up striking out. A young guy, he's been huge for this team all season, and he's come up some big spots here in the playoffs as well so far. A couple nice hits, a couple big hits, a couple RBI. But he had a very good at bat against Williams and against the closer. And I hope to God his name is Williams. I think I have it written down. I don't know. I'm trying to remember, but for some reason I'm doubting myself that it's actually Williams now. But anyway, excuse me. Those are pitches that he has to throw just to get Vientos out. Vientos has found a few balls off, making him work extra harder, and that's also giving the guys behind Vientos, extra pitches to see. So they're seeing more and more of this guy's repertoire. Repertoire. Yeah. But anyway, and that's giving them more opportunity to kind of, okay, this is what we can do. This, get on this. Nimmo falls behind in the count. I think he was down 0-2 or 1-2. Fouls a couple off. There was a foul ball. I think it was to the first base side. It would not have been any good. That would have been very bad. That would have been double played. Same thing with Vientos. He had a foul ball to third base. That if it was caught, there was a chance that could have been a double play. I don't know if they would have got Lindor at second because it was pretty far out of the way, and it would have been one of those where he had to stop and turn. They probably definitely would have got Vientos at first, but there was a chance it could have been a double play. So thankfully that was foul. And so Nimmo's up there. Couple foul balls. He's staying alive, and finally he gets one. He rips it up the middle, just in between the second base bag and the second baseman. That gets Lindor from first to third, and that has Nimmo at first base for Pete Alonso. Pete comes up. I'm listening to this. I'm actually going past the Burger King and a Long John Silver's that's by my house, coming up to the red light to turn onto the highway to start heading to work. And I'm pulling up, and the first pitch is in. It's a strike. It's like, come on, Pete. Find a gap, buddy. Come on, Pete. I'm cheering. I'm talking to myself here. I'm cheering him on. Then the next three pitches aren't even close, and Howie Rose is building it up. You gotta love Howie. He's building it up. This could be Pete Alonso's last at bat as a New York Met. Can he add to his legacy? Can this be it? Be the at bat that erases a season filled of doubt and pressure and this and Howie just keeps building it up. So it's a 3-1 count. And the closer throws a changeup on the outside edge. It would have been a strike if you watch it. It was in the little box that they give you to look at. So it would have been a strike, and Pete crushes it. It's a laser beam. Now listening to Howie's call, the way I pictured it, the way Howie's call was, I pictured it being a high fly, like a moonshot. The way he called it, and your word for word, I can't think of it right now. But I've watched it so many times, from last night to this morning, just watching it. Just listening to that call and watching that play, that home run. And he calls it. I'm there gripping my steering wheel, and I'm at a red light. And I pull up to the red light to get on the highway, and it's still red. And he says, it's gone. It's out of here. I don't know. I've never screamed like that before. I scream, let's effing go, let's effing go, P. If it was summertime and my windows were down, people would be looking at me. Thankfully, it was 20 to 10 at night. I'm on my way to work. There's a couple people next to me in the lane, the turning lane, but I don't think they heard me. I'm screaming as loud as I can, as loud as I can. I even hit my chest a couple times. I took a look at my Fitbit as up to 125 beats per minute. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's not normally that. Usually it's a lot lower, like in the 70s, 80s. Kind of resting is like in the 60s or whatever. And I just I was so jacked up. I haven't felt like that in a long time, and I just elated. And then you have Iggy comes up next. He ends up grounding out, I believe. And then Jesse Winker, the dude, game one, like I mentioned earlier, jawing with Willy Adames and, getting his team fired up after he had that 2-run triple and to put the Mets ahead. And, Willy Adames looking, hey, meet me out in the parking lot kind of stuff or whatever. And Jesse Winker, he didn't care. He jawing right back. What the hell does he care? And so he gets up. Every time he would be up, they boo him. Boo. So we have that bad guy. We have that guy that people think's an asshole, and I think that's important sometimes on a team in the playoffs. You need an asshole on your team that everybody hates. So when he comes up big, they hate him even more, and it almost feels inevitable sometimes that he's going to come up big because you just hate him so much. Oh, this guy's going to screw me. I know it, because I hate him so much, and that's what happened. Now, he didn't have a big hit or anything like that. He got up there and he got hit by a pitch. Okay, that's a base runner. All right, okay, that's not bad. But the big part of it is the part where he reaches in and grabs her heart out is when he goes and steals second base on him. Puts another guy in scoring position. Starling Marte, who down the stretch here has been pretty much a hitting machine. He's been very good down the stretch. And they've been using him in all the right situations, keeping him out when need be, putting him in when need be. And when he's in, he's done a hell of a job. And Jesse Winker stealing second base was absolutely huge. So he has the Brewers' heart in his hand right now. And Starling Marte finds a hole between the second baseman and the first baseman. And Winker goes from second to home, gets up. First thing he does is he crushes that heart of the Brewers, takes off his batting helmet, spikes it to the ground, smashes that into 10,000 pieces. He's screaming at the pitcher. The Mets needed that attitude. They needed a guy like that just to bring that extra edge, I think. And I see this team, and it's just something special about it. It's just something, and I've said this all season long, that this team gives me the 2022 Phillies vibes. I just get the vibes from it, like it's the 2022 Phillies. Now, I can't remember who the asshole on the team was for the 2022 Phillies, but I'm sure they had an asshole on the team that everybody hated. That always continuously came up big. But I've compared their seasons, so many different times where the Phillies, just started off so terrible in 2022, and they kind of would play good, they'd play bad, they'd play good, they'd play bad. Or their starting pitching would be inconsistent, their hitting would be inconsistent, their bullpen would be inconsistent. Like when one part of their team would be inconsistent, another part would be consistent. Like nothing was ever lining up, but when it did, it was magical. And that's this Mets season where it started out so bad. They started out 0-5. And who else remembers that series against the Brewers where Rhys Hoskins, I still thought was a dirty slide, but whatever, it is what it is. In today's baseball, it was a dirty slide. In baseball from a few years ago, maybe not. But in today's baseball, I felt like it was a dirty slide. And Jeff McNeil, yelling at him and giving him the shit and whatever. And Rhys Hoskins gets up and he goes trotting back to his dugout. And that's when Rhys Hoskins decides to start talking shit. When he's in a dugout with all of his other teammates surrounding him, then he starts talking shit back to Jeff McNeil. Little Jeff McNeil, who has a nickname of Squirrel. And he has to run back to the dugout to start talking shit. So, I mean, but you remember that, right? It just started off so poorly. And, then May was just absolutely, like Frank the Tank called it the May malaise. It was just, it was awful. And then June came and took off like a rocket. Like I said, after the Jorge Lopez thing, with the throwing of the glove and and the way he shit talked the Mets after that, the clubhouse, and then the closed door meeting that was called by the team leaders. Uh, mainly Lindor. And just ever since then, it's taken off like a rocket. And there's been moments throughout the season where the offense was inconsistent, but the starting pitching was consistent. The offense would become consistent, but then the bullpen would be inconsistent. Just waiting for that stuff to line up, and it seems like it's finally starting to line up here down the stretch. Even though they had a rough series in Milwaukee at the end of the season there, but everything seems to be lining up. Just kind of reminds me a lot of the 2022 Phillies, and it still does. It just seems magical. That team, so many different things happened in the 2022 Phillies throughout the playoffs. That just felt magical. It felt like that was a team of destiny. Now they made it to the World Series and they didn't win, but it was a hell of a run to the World Series. It absolutely was. That's where you get the Bedlam at the bank and the Red October stuff and ring that stupid ass bell. That's where you get all that from. And that's how this Mets team feels. The oh my God stuff. The Iglesias. Oh my. The whole hand thing and the thing. You gotta love it. You have to love it. It just feels special. I don't know what it is. It's a whole multitude of things coming together, and it just feels like it's a team of destiny. Now I could be flat wrong. They come out here laying egg against the Phillies. But even if they do, you can go back and look at it and just say this was a special season. This was a season where nothing was expected, and it didn't look like we were going to go anywhere anyway. The first 2 months of the season, and to end up where we were, winning the way we were, the way we have, it's just a memorable season, no matter what happens. So anyway, kind of lost my train of thought again. Jesse Winker taking heart of the Brewers and crushing it. Starling Marte knocking him in, and it's him spiking that helmet. And I think one of the more special things to me seeing last night after watching all these different videos, fan videos, the Citi Field watch party, which Yuki Matsui mentioned right here. I had put up. He got to watch the Citi. I got watch party tickets at Citi Field for Saturday for $10. And that's something I also thought about, Yuki. Again, driving to New York City makes me extremely nervous because I don't want to become somebody's alley bride, a back alley bride or nothing like that. That makes me nervous. But anyway, but I also have stuff going on this weekend that I don't want to miss with the kids. So it's one of those things. And but $10, you can't beat that. I'd absolutely love to go to a watch party. That'd be awesome. That'd be so awesome. And but one of the more special things to me that I seen from the end of that game, Francisco Lindor, unquestioned captain of this team, unquestioned leader of this team. In my opinion, the MVP of the league. The best player in the National League is hands down Shohei Ohtani. Everybody can agree with that. He's the best player in the league, in the National League, or I don't know, him and Aaron Judge. Me personally, I take Aaron Judge, but whatever. That's they're both the same. If you ask me, the guys are just awesome. But MVP, most valuable player to their team, I think has to be Francisco Lindor. Has to be your MVP. Now you can look at Shohei Ohtani. You take Shohei Ohtani off of the Los Angeles Dodgers, they are probably still in the same spot they're in right now. You take Francisco Lindor off of the New York Mets do not sniff the postseason. So, to me, that's the definition of MVP. He is absolutely, by far and away, the most valuable player on this team, and he should be the most valuable player in the league. He's not going to get it. It's going to be Shohei Ohtani, but they're wrong. The voters are wrong. So, Lindor will get some votes, and him being hurt down the stretch didn't help any, but it just adds to the mystique, to the aura of the 2024 New York Mets. And one last thing before I start to check out here, because I'm starting to wind down here. My mouth is starting to dry out. I'm starting to run words in together because Worked last night. I'm pretty tired. Excuse me. But anyway, Lindor. I get back to my story. Lindor giving an interview to ESPN, which is absolutely awful to watch baseball. I can't stand the commentary. I just wish they would let you watch your team's commentary. You know, if we have Gary, Ron, and Keith, we should be able to have those guys back. You know, just for the playoffs. I just can't stand that it has to be ESPN. It's terrible. It's awful. I'm so glad. I am so glad that I was able to hear Howie Rose call that Pete Alonso home run instead of watching it on ESPN. I would have loved to have watched it live, but in hindsight, I'm so glad I got to hear Howie Rose make that call. That's something I'll never forget. As corny as stupid as it sounds, I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. And it was special, absolutely special. But anyway, back to Lindor, giving an interview with ESPN. He says, they're doing a team picture. I got to go. Thank you guys. All the pleasantries and all that stuff. He takes the earphones off or whatever it was, headphones. He goes running over, and he just whips them into a frenzy. He gets in the middle of that whole group. They're all getting ready to pose for a picture. They're all, set up and stuff. Gets in the middle, let's go, let's effing go. And, just screaming and shouting, getting them all pumped up. I mean, I took a screenshot off of it from TikTok. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. That's the 2024 Mets in that picture right there. That is the 2024 Mets. One team together playing great baseball right now, and you just feel something special brewing. So, all right. I've been yapping here for an hour and a couple of minutes. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up now. So before I do wrap it up, I got our sponsor to throw out here. Of course, we all know our sponsor. If you've seen the show before, you know the sponsor. Our boy, Jason Fine, J Fine Law, attorney Big Al. You can reach Big Al at 1-800-HURT-123. That's 1-800-HURT-123. Jason Fine specializes in motor vehicle accidents, slip and fall, workman's comp, and personal injury claims. He has 3 office locations conveniently located throughout Pennsylvania and New Jersey. His office in New Jersey is located in Cherry Hill on 3 Greensward Lane. The phone number there is 856-209-5258. And for all you people in Pennsylvania, he has an office in Pittsburgh. With the office is located on 500 Grant Street, Suite 2900. The phone number there is 412-365-8151. And in Philadelphia at 1628 JFK Boulevard, Suite 2120. And the phone number there is 267-888-2980. That's Jason Fine, attorney Big Al. So real quick, go ahead and follow, subscribe, Out of the Box Sports at OOT Box Sports on YouTube and X. And they're also on Facebook. Just type in Out of the Box Sports or Out of the Box Sports Entertainment, and you will find us. But for YouTube and X, please follow us, subscribe. Very much appreciate it to all the YouTube subscribers and the X followers. OOT Box Sports for YouTube and X. And for me, I appreciate everybody that follows me. I said earlier, I'm a ham and egger. I'm a nobody. I don't know how many followers I have on X. Not a lot, but I appreciate every single one of them. And I don't know if they actually watch a show or if they even know. They just because I follow them, they follow back. Kind of thing. If they've even seen my face before, but either way, I appreciate it. But you can follow me on X at the Batcave OOTBS. That's the Batcave OOTBS. That's on X. And my YouTube channel, I have 10 subscribers now. We're moving up, baby. So give me a subscribe if you can. If you don't mind, I appreciate it. At the Batcave _OOTBSE. That YouTube channel handle, once again, is the Batcave _OOTBSE. And that's my YouTube channel. So I appreciate that if you gave that the old subscription and hit that notification bell. Thank you. If you do, if you don't, it's fine as well. I don't care as long as you find the show somehow and watch it and throw your comments out. I appreciate everybody that commented today. Yuki Matsui, Cowboy Dave. I appreciate it. To the people that are watching right now, 31 live viewers. I know it's not a whole lot right now, but hopefully so a lot of people go back and rewatch this. And enjoy this moment in New York Mets baseball history, and then just just enjoy it. Just soak it in. Appreciate it for what it is, and then let's move on to the Phillies and let's put our foot up the Phillies' ass. That's all. Yeah, I got to hear FTM quite a few times last night at work from my boys, my homeboys that work there. A lot of fuck the Mets. Well, guys, like I say, fuck the Phils. But I don't spell it the way you guys spell it. It's a PH, so it's not a curse word. Phillies. Everything's PH with them. So PH. Uck the Phils. So fuck the Phils, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be a great series, and may the best team win. And be nice to each other at the stadiums, for the love of Christ. There's no need to beat people up or throw stuff at people or throw beer on people just because they don't like the team that you like. Be civil, be adults, enjoy yourself, cheer for your team, root for your team, and then go home all in one piece. So, all right. So that's all I have. Thank you, everybody, for checking the show out. I'm going to try to go live Saturday night. It's going to be really late if I do, because I have a lot of stuff going on Saturday night. I'm not even going to be able to watch the game. I'm going to be listening to it and following it on Gamecast on ESPN, which, again, is a bummer, but it is what it is. Family comes first. And, so that's all I got to say. So look for me maybe Saturday night for a recap of Game 1. If not, Sunday. And after Game 2, I'll go on there and hopefully be a happy Met fan. All right. So that's all I have. Thank you, everybody. And let's go Mets.